Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. A fight between Oleksandr Uysk and Derek Chisora has been confirmed officially for October the 31st, although the venue is still to be confirmed. And tickets for the original fight, which was scheduled for May 2020, they will be refunded. So this announcement, I'll get to the press release and the comments from the fighters themselves, as well as promoter Eddie Hearn, and then on to a few thoughts, because this is a fight that we've all been waiting for as boxing fans. This is a really good one, a good test for Oleksandr Uysk, and for Chisora, if he can beat Usyk, obviously he can jump the queue and take that WBO mandatory spot. But starting with Oleksandr Uysk, so he says, "I've really missed boxing. I'm working hard in my training camp to show a spectacular performance on October 31. I expect a real test in Derek. He is strong, tough, and resilient. He's a really big guy and he hits hard. As a cruiserweight, I reached the highest heights as an undisputed champion, and now I'm following the same path as a heavyweight. I need to test myself against world-class heavyweights on my new road to undisputed, and Derek stands in front of me. Many people say that Derek is a monster, but deep down he is a kind man. I don't expect to see that good side of him. I know that he wants to break me, but I am water, wind, and fire all together. Derek Chisora, I am coming for you."
I'm coming for you!
Derek Chisora, meanwhile, says, "Hello, Usyk. I am ready for you. Hello, Usyk."
Hello? Hello?
Usyk, I've been ready for you all year. It's my home turf, and after such a tough year for everyone, I'm going to give the British public the Halloween party they deserve and finally get revenge for my boy, Tony Bellew. And now we have Eddie Hearn saying, and this is in relation to the first part at least, news from the British government about fans and the lack thereof, at least for the time being. So he says, "Yesterday's news from the government was a kick in the nuts. So to bounce back with this fight at this time is so important for boxing. You've either got to sit back and say it's not possible or find a way to make it happen. And I've got to say a big thanks to Team Usyk, Del Boy and David Haye for staying patient and helping get this over the line. It's an absolute firecracker and a fight that is so important to the heavyweight division over the next few months. We saw a stunning victory from Povetkin recently to shake up the mandatory situation. Can Ward Chisora spring an upset and KO the undefeated, undisputed world champ? I know he will do everything he can to try and get the victory, and this will be another night of heavyweight drama." And then it goes on to quote Alexander Krasyuk, the general manager for K2 Promotions, which co-promotes Oleksandr Uysk along with Matchroom. He says, "Oleksandr Uysk versus Derek Chisora is one of the most anticipated fights in the heavyweight division. This fight was originally scheduled to take place in May, but I can assure boxing fans around the world that this will be worth the wait. Usyk is under huge pressure. He has to prove himself as a true heavyweight, while Chisora has nothing to lose and is always dangerous. It will be a violent and bloody battle. I cannot wait to see them finally collide in the ring on October 31. David Haye, he's also here saying, "I see this fight with Usyk as the perfect opportunity for Derek to gatecrash the world top 5. He's a massive underdog with very few experts picking him to cause the upset. But I know something they don't. I know Derek has the size, the chin, and more importantly, the heart to walk through hell to get this win." And then we have Adam Smith, and I don't care about that, so I'm going to wrap up the quotes there. So the press release, Usyk and Chisora more than up for this. So there's a couple of things to unpack from the different statements, but I guess I would sort of start with my position on this fight has always been, I think that Oleksandr Usyk, he should win. He is a guy with the sort of style to give Derek Chisora fits. But there is a few caveats here because Oleksandr Usyk has been out of the ring for so long. Basically, since his storied run at cruiserweight ended, he's barely been sighted, just with a number of rounds of action against Chaz Witherspoon, who really was a late notice opponent. And he did manage to touch Usyk up a bit, but we have heard that Oleksandr Usyk has been struggling in the past 2 years with different injuries. Remembering this guy relies on his athleticism. And if his athleticism is starting to to be on the wane because this is a style that relies heavily on it. And if he is maybe starting to get past prime, then it could actually open the door for Derek Chisora to be more competitive. But my pick is that Oleksandr Usyk will basically be the Usyk that we have seen before. He's been trying to acclimate to the heavyweight division for a couple of years now. He's not going to be boiling down to 200 pounds, but I don't think he's actually going to be, a big heavyweight by any stretch. I think he'll be somewhere between 215 and 220. Any higher, then that starts to erode at some of the advantages that he would have in the ring. The speed, the foot speed, the hand speed, just the general movement. He needs to be as slick and gliding around that ring as quickly as possible to help evade Derek Chisora and the big haymakers that are going to be coming for him. Because if he slows down just, by a split second in some departments, that could be the in for Derek Chisora, who want to bully Oleksandr Usyk in this fight. We know what he'll want to do, but Derek Chisora, one of his kryptonites, and this has been proven through his career, although some fans don't want to admit it. They won't give Ajit Kabiel the credit for beating Derek Chisora through a moving effort. We've seen other movers against Derek Chisora, and they've made him look a bit average because he doesn't cut off the ring well. He doesn't really sort of deal with that. He wants someone being right in front of him in the phone booth, sort of bombs away. But this is not going to be what we're going to see from Oleksandr Usyk. I think in some respects it could mirror the Murat Gassiev fight and others, where he'll continue to try keep Derek Chisora turning. He doesn't want Derek Chisora to be able to set his feet and just get his big power punches away, because if Chisora does catch up with Usyk, and he catches up with him quite often, he does have, I believe, the ability to hurt Oleksandr Usyk, especially if the fight goes deeper. But I think we'll see Oleksandr Usyk trying to stay out of harm's way early on. He will want to try to slowly gas him out and break him down over a number of rounds. And if Oleksandr Usyk is still the fighter that he was a couple of years ago, bearing in mind the inactivity, the injuries, we don't really know where he's at the moment, and he's still acclimatizing to the heavyweight division, carrying that extra weight. We don't know how much extra weight he will be holding. I mean, he was probably boiling down 10-15 pounds from cruiserweight, but he may be 5 or 10 pounds heavier than his previous walking around weight. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens where he goes, but he's never going to be a big heavyweight. So he will use those attributes that we know so well, the speed, the movement, just the technical ability. So I'm hoping that Johnny Nelson doesn't come out and try to say that Derek Chisora is more technical than Oleksandr Usyk, as he did with Tony Bellew, because that was the one of the most disgraceful statements of all of 2018 in boxing. But I like the fight. This is a fight where Oleksandr Usyk has a lot to prove, because if he can go in there and beat Derek Chisora and look good in doing so, his stock will go up in the heavyweight division. There's a number of fans not willing to even entertain the prospect that he could be a threat in the division because he hasn't fought anyone yet, and I understand that. But based on his previous accolades at cruiserweight, he certainly has all the tools to do well in the heavyweight division, even against much bigger guys. Not all of the taller heavyweights will be an easy fight for Oleksandr Usyk or anything like this, but this matchup, he's taken it against a guy who's very big and broad, but actually Oleksandr Usyk does have the height and the reach advantages. I mean, a lot of people tend to forget that and think that Oleksandr Usyk is too small for a heavyweight, while others are sort of, very high on Derek Chisora in his recent run of form. In the past couple of years, he stopped Carlos Takam. He's had a win over David Price, but apart from that, there's no real massive wins on Chisora's ledger, but there is that knockout against Dillian Whyte. But this is a proper test. Chisora is somewhere around, for me at least, about the top 20, just inside that bubble. Others have him much higher. But if you are to believe that Oleksandr Usyk is going to be stepping into a title fight, potentially against Anthony Joshua after this fight, should he win it, well, then he needs to pass this test, look good, and any performance where he does look good is going to build his profile for a title fight. I think there will be a shift in position from a lot of casual fans in particular, and even some hardcore fans, if Usyk can do the business here. Just before we go, so the undercard is still TBC, so this is only just a month out or so it's not looking great in terms of what we could get there. There is some talk about who could feature on the Dillian Whyte undercard, but nothing yet on this undercard. But you'd have to wonder, Martin Bakole versus Sergey Kuzmin, apparently that will still happen. That was postponed recently. Maybe that could feature on this undercard, and I think they will need a few decent fights to really help push this in terms of the pay-per-view sort of side of things. Obviously at the moment with the pandemic, numbers look like they have been down for that first pay-per-view event in the UK from the Dillian Whyte fight, but they'll need to sort of stack the undercard to help the chances of boosting up the buys. But what do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.